Let's have a lightning round here on the Georgia outlook on the Senate races. Yamiche, there's going to be millions of dollars spent in Georgia. 2 Senate runoffs, it looks like, in Georgia. Senator Kelly Loeffler versus Reverend Raphael Warnock. Then you also have Senator David Perdue versus Jon Ossoff, the Democrat. What are your sources at the White House telling you about President Trump's involvement and how this plays out?
I have to tell you that the White House sources I've been talking to have not been talking about Senate races when it comes to President Trump, because he is so much fuming about his own situation that he's not, I don't think, thinking about what help he can do for other Republicans. I will say that when I talk to Democratic sources, they're very excited about the fact that they're having these runoffs, because they think that, of course, Georgia was not at all a battleground state. And really, after Stacey Abrams went in, ran for governor, lost, but then proceeded to really focus on getting more voters registered, upping the Democratic muscle there. They feel like that state is one that is in a way better position, much better position than it's ever been to be blue.
Jake, what are you paying attention to in Georgia?
Whether the coalition could replicate itself, the coalition that gave Joe Biden the state in the last couple of days, whether that coalition could be brought out again, and what people do, what Democrats do to energize that base once again. You know, special elections are difficult for turnout, and they're difficult to energize the base, and I have a tough time seeing that Democrats could do it to 2 elections in a row, or rather 3 elections in a row, the presidential and both specials.
Sue, the Democrats have to feel pretty good about the South. They're making gains there. They didn't win Senate races like South Carolina. They didn't win Texas. They didn't win Florida. But they're close in Georgia. They're making gains in the Sun Belt. How do they see Georgia, but also the South more broadly?
I mean, Georgia's tough, but I think so much is going to go into these 2 specials because, again, there is a path where if Democrats were to get really lucky and Joe Biden wins, that would mean a 50-50 Senate, and that would put Democrats in the majority. So there's a lot at stake in these races. I think Jake's right. I think Republicans go into this with all the advantages. Specials, especially in the South, especially in Georgia, tend to benefit the Republican Party. And I think another big lesson coming out of Tuesday is that money did not matter. Senate Democrats outraised, I believe, almost every single Republican incumbent. Mitch McConnell was outraised, Lindsey Graham was outraised, and none of that money translated into victory. So I would imagine we're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars funneled into Georgia to support Democrats. They might even outraise Republicans again, but to be really skeptical that money is going to make a big difference here. But you're right that the South is shifting. I think North Carolina, again, is going to become more and more of a purple state. Georgia's more in play. Florida might, we're always going to be debating Florida, I feel like, for the rest of our lives. But I do think there is something about the coalitions that are growing. And then Democrats, while they may not have gotten the election they wanted, still see states like Texas and other places where they are more likely to grow, where they can win. And I don't know if the reverse is as true for the Republican Party in this very specific moment.
Peter, which Democrat is better positioned to pluck off a Senate seat in Georgia, Reverend Warnock or Jon Ossoff?
Well, that's a great question. Of course, Ossoff just got so close to 50% in the first round, didn't have a third candidate in there who was really taking away large numbers of votes, as it was in the other race. So he has, a track record in this election of getting so close to the 50.1% he would need. But it's hard to know. I mean, these are such different dynamics because there was a third viable candidate in Doug Collins in that other race. So it's hard to measure one against the other. I have to say, broadly speaking, I don't know. I'm not an expert on Georgia politics, so I shouldn't say, but this has a feel of a movie we've seen before where Democrats get themselves all really excited about some special election, some off-year election. They throw lots of money in a place where they haven't won, and they say, this time for real, this is going to be the time we really do it, and they come away disappointed. Without Trump on the ballot to really motivate Democrats to come out, which is, I think one of the driving forces of this week, I don't know whether they can replicate the kind of votes that they got in this particular moment. I mean, it doesn't mean that Georgia won't be turning more and more Democrat over the next number of years. I just don't know whether January is going to be that moment where we see that tipping point.